All right, on the bench today is something I just pulled out of the car. We have a Yamaha CA810 integrated amplifier. And all I've done with this so far is I have it connected to my dim bulb tester. I don't have any shorts, but I'm not hearing the relay click. I believe this has a relay. So I'm going to go right into main power. And I don't hear anything. Now this is a CA810, not an 810-2. So let's see what's going on. Haven't had a Yamaha CA on my bench for quite a while. I used to have a CA610-2 that I really liked. Really liked the look of it. I could never really get the sound dialed in to my preference, which I find commonly with Yamahas. It's like I like the idea of Yamaha, but I just can't get them kind of dialed in for what I like to hear. So let's see, does this have, maybe this doesn't have a relay. I don't see a relay anywhere, so maybe it's all right. So what I'm gonna do, we have two fuses, those look to be intact. Again, it's been a while since I've worked on one of these, but I don't see a relay unless, well, the relay would be in the power supply. So the relay should be right here on this board if it had one. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to, get my big fat head in the way. I'm going to connect this to some speakers and run some sound through it and see if I get anything. This was turned all the way up, so that's usually sometimes that just happens when you are moving equipment. Sometimes it happens because something is broken. So we'll see which one of those it is. Maybe it was just turned up because it was moved. So anyway, I'm going to connect this, grab my phone, put some tunes through it, and see what we get. It does have a relay. So here's the interesting thing. So I turned it on. It was on. Let me see if it does it again. It was on for like probably 30 seconds while I connect everything, and then I heard the relay click. So let's see what happens. And it sounded like it was coming from underneath this board. Did you just hear it? So the relay did just kick in. So it does have a relay, and I don't know why it took it so long. That's probably not a good sign though. And I'm right now not getting any sound. So I'm going to make sure I have this connected correctly. Tape playback. I'm not getting any sound on tape 1. I've got it on speaker A. I do have jumpers in the back. Now I've got it on auxiliary, input selector, auxiliary. All right. So I do have sound on one channel, but one channel only. Oh, I have it connected wrong. I've been working on a Kenwood, and their speaker connectors are aligned differently, so let's see. Now that should give me sound on both channels. Oh, and it sounds like garbage. Oh, that sounds horrible. Sounds like it's going through a tin can. So I'm going to play around with these tone controls, see if I can figure out what the heck is going on here. And I will come back and let you know. But this does not sound healthy. It sounds like it's underwater. All right, so turn this off. So I was able to get a little bit of sound back. I'm going to go ahead and clean the controls. I'm going to do an initial flush with some WD-40 Now before somebody posts out there a comment, this is contact cleaner, contact cleaner, contact cleaner. Not just WD-40, contact cleaner. They do make a contact cleaner. Inevitably someone posts, don't use WD-40. This is their contact cleaner. It's what I use for my initial flush on all the controls because it's cheap and I can just flush the hell out of these controls. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to get to what I can get to from the top, which is just about everything. Yeah, I think I can get to, I probably can get to everything without even taking the bottom off. May have to take this top plate off here, which we may do just to look down and see what's going on there. So I'm going to speed through that. Well, taking that cover off doesn't really get anything, but I can spray these from underneath here. Should be able to get them. Then we'll give another sound check and see if we can get rid of some of that tinniness or that muddiness. So it sounded to me like it came out of protection underneath this board. I would look, I guess I can look. I can pull this board back and, oh no I can't because they're connected there. All right. Okay, so I can put this back on there, make sure that little cap is grounded, and put this cover back on. And fire it up again and see if we can get some sound. See what it sounds like. So I'm probably going to do that off camera. I guess I can. I just need to be careful with how much time goes by when I have that playing. All right. All right, so let's count the seconds after we power it on, see how long it takes to come out of protection. 1, 2, 4. So about 6 seconds. All right. And I'm getting I don't know if you can hear that, getting a buzz coming from the speaker. And I'm not getting any sound now. So make sure I've got this playing. Oh, I wasn't playing anything. Let's see. Nah, it sounds like garbage. Nah. This amp has some issues. I'm just looking at what's going on. Pre-out off. Whoops. All right, I'm going to play around with this for a little bit, and I think I'm going to pipe in directly into the amplifier. I'm going to remove those jacks from the back, and I want to see what effect that has, and I will come back. All right, I had to fiddle with the RCA cables in the back. I think that they're probably a little corroded. Yeah, once I move this left one around, that goes away. But it sounds good. Sounds good now. I'm going to play just a second of this song. Yeah, so sounds good. A little bit of angels and airwaves there. All right, so I'm going to power this off, and we have a couple of things that we need to sort out. So, well, let me power it back on. So here is, the lamps are out. So these lamps are out. So I have to look at replacing those. I also, Yamaha's, and this, it's not unique only to Yamahas, but Yamahas, for some reason, they suffer, at least the ones that I've looked at, they've suffered a little bit more from crack solder joints than other manufacturers. And that's not to say that it doesn't happen with Marantz and Pioneer, Macintosh, or whoever. But it seems that on Yamahas it's a little more prevalent. So as a part of the maintenance I'm going to do, basically first I'm going to address the lamps, replace those. Then I'm going to look at the bottom, right? Take the bottom off and look at all of the solder joints just to see if I can see something that jumps out that may need to be repaired or touched up really with a solder joint. And then I'm going to pull up the service manual and do whatever do whatever amplifier alignments are called for in the manual. I do have the FM tuner for this. I'll fire that up as well just to make sure that it works. I may or may not include that in the video. I'm not a tuner guy, but I think that's what I'm going to do. So I am, because I got a little bit of time today, I'm going to go ahead and pull this block off. My soldering iron is warming up, so let's see if by pulling this off we can access the lamps. It has been a while since I have replaced lamps on a Yamaha CA integrated amp, so I'm kind of going by memory here a little bit. Yeah, it looks like I'm probably going to need to rethink that. Interesting. Interesting. I think these light up. I'm pretty sure these light up. It almost makes it look like this should slide out, but there's a diffuser that, and maybe the diffuser is not supposed to be loose, or maybe it's supposed to move back, but with the diffuser there, I can't really move this into a position to get that out of there. So I may have to do some chewing on how I'm going to do that. Because if I remove the face, I don't think that's going to get me anything. And if I look from the side, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, shoot, because I would think there's the lamps. The lamps have to be up here. So I'm going to chew on this off camera, see if I can figure that out, and I'll let you know what I came up with to access those lamps. Because to me it feels like it should be pretty easy, but I'm beginning to think that maybe it is not. So anyway, I'll be back. Alright, so two things. Number one, that little foam strip has to come off of there. I'll replace that with some weather stripping or something like that. And there were these little kind of push tabs. So they kind of push in on the sides. They're not screw or anything like that. You just pop them in, and I pried them off with a screwdriver. But that should give me enough room to get to the lamps. Now, I'm going to assume that all the lamps are out, but maybe, and I don't see any. I want to see where the lamp, there's no fuse for the lamps, at least not one that I can see. And it looks like these are kind of like those Kenwood lamp shrouds. So if I can get this board up just a little tiny bit. All right, so there we go. Now that that's apart, I can move that out of the way. Okay, move that. That should go there. So that sits down to give it that color. And this will move out of the way too. I may have to realign this stuff. I think that goes something like that, maybe. And it sits in there, and then you screw it in. Yeah, that way it gives it that little that little bluish color, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, because that would come down over. Weird. Give it that little green glow. But these look like those Kenwood lamps. I don't know if these are marked. It looks like it says Stanley. Sometimes the lamp itself is marked, and I'm just kind of curious what the voltage is on this. Hopefully it's 8 and not something weird. It's not marked. You know, it looks to me like the filament is good on that though. So what I may do first, power that on and measure the voltage going to the lamp terminal. Sometimes on these lamps they all have to be wired in though. And if one is out, they all go out. Some goofy thing, some goofy setup like that. But if I'm going to replace one of these, I'm going to replace them all. So what I'm going to do is, and I may have to just pull the service manual down and look to see. But I want to get that going back in there. And then measure the voltage. Stella's barking outside. Always brings me great pleasure to hear her barking. Not at all. Because I'm sure it's the wind or something she's barking at. Alright. So let's see what's going on with these lamps. I don't think they were turning on. It didn't look like they were coming on to me. So, yeah, no lamps. But let's measure the voltage. So luckily, it came out of protection again. I can pop onto these like so. Yeah, I'm not getting any voltage to the lamps. Yeah, I'm getting AC, millivolts, no DC. So we have an issue somewhere else. No, now this one, maybe. No. Nope. So I'm not getting any voltage to the lamps. So we may or may not have an issue with individual lamps. We may have an issue with that circuit. So I'm going to have to do some investigating on that and see what's going on. Just want to put this lamp back together because this one looked okay. Again, I'll have to look at the service manual and see what might be going on with this. Alright, so that's back in there. Okay. Alright. Okay, so let's see if we can, I'm going to pull the manual down and poke around and see if I can find out what might be going on there. Problem is you got a whole bunch of stuff underneath this cover here in that board, and I can't see any of it. Oh, there's the relay. Well, I think I see the relay. Yep, I see the relay. Man, what a goofy design. What a goofy design. Huh. Alright, let's see what I can find out. Alright, so as you can see, I have some temp lamps hooked up. Right, so we have some voltage going to all of the lamps. So these are wired in series, right? So the lamps are wired in series, and 2 of them are bad. So naturally, if they're wired in series and you have power going across all four, if one or two is out, you're not going to have lights. So, but I'm curious, and I looked at the service manual and it kind of stinks. At least I couldn't easily find the lamp voltage, so I'm going to just measure it and see what's going on. I think it's probably like, let's see. Well, oh, it would help if I actually had this on, you know, a couple of the leads here. So let's see what that is right there. Yeah, 10. So I've got 42 volts going to the board. I think it's supposed to be 36. So I do have potentially an issue with power going to the boards, but I want to find, I'm just trying to find a value for the lamps. So lamp circuit board is supposed to be 36 going in. I've got 42. That's not good. But what are the lamps? Are they 8 volt? Or are they like 10 volt? Like, what are the lamps? Because I cannot find it anywhere here. There's no value to the lamps that I can see. So I'm gonna have to go through the service manual, see if I can find something here, just to give me an idea of what the heck I'm supposed to be putting in here, and then I'll come back. Well, it looks like I don't have any 14 volt lamps. Well, I do. So I should say I don't have any. I had one maybe. I don't know. It was, so I kind of keep my lamps separated like that. This is 14 volts. I trust these. I don't know that I trust those. They wouldn't really help me out anyway. That one was in there. I threw it in. It worked. But I'm going to order 4 new lamps from eBay. So I have some. Well, I'm going to order more than that. I'll probably order 10 or so, just so I have them. So I'm going to have to come back to throwing the lamps in here. And I'm not going to continue on with the amplifier alignment until I get this figured out here. I'm also going to have to look at the voltages and just double check that I'm seeing things clearly, and it should only be 36 volts, not 42 volts going to that board. So I will probably poke and prod on that off camera a little bit, but it's going to have to sit for a couple of days while I order lamps and wait for them to come in. So anyway, we'll pick it back up when I get the lamps, and we'll throw them in, and we'll talk about that process and then go on to the next step. All right, lamps came in, and show you how these are swapped out. So I got incandescents from eBay, I think. Got 10 of them. Again, these are 14 volt. And oh my gosh, they're all taped in here. So I thought they'd be loose-ish. Oh goodness. Come on. Come on. There we go. Alright, so here are the lamps. And I'll show you what we're going to do with these. Now, Kenwood uses, I'm not sure what other manufacturers may have used a similar type of mounting, but so you have this rubber piece that comes off, and you have 2 holes on the inside. So you got to straighten the wires. I'm only going to do one on camera. I'll do the rest off camera. But you push them through the 2 holes on the inside like so, right? It'll come out the back, and then here is where it gets a little bit dodgy. You got to bend the wires, and then there's another hole that they come through, kind of on the outside. So you see it coming through there at the top. Let's see, through there at the top. Then you pull on that, pull it through, and then this excess you just trim off. So we'll do one, and then we'll do the other ones. I'll speed through that. Then we will look at the lamps, make sure they're working, then we'll go on to whatever it is we're going to do next. So like I said, then we just trim 2 little pieces of wire, like so. And then slide that lamp back on. And the first lamp is done. So I'm going to repeat that 3 more times. And then we'll fire this thing up, make sure those lamps are working. Right, that should be good. So fire this up. These lights should come on. Lights came on just fine. Relay clicks. Nice. All right, so now I'm going to finish assembling this, put that back together, reinstall that, and then we'll talk about next steps. All right, so lamps have been replaced. It's kind of bright and you can't really see them, but it's on. You can see the kind of the green light there. A little bit, not super bright, but you know, Yamahas aren't. So that's good. All right, so on to, well, first let's put these lamps away. On to looking at what we're going to do next. I think DC offset and bias is all the stuff to do on this. So let me, I'm going to put these lamps away. I'm going to pull up the service manual and see what we need to do to check those on this amplifier. All right, there we have her all buttoned up. Again, that was the lamp change on a Yamaha CA810. Nice, nice integrated amplifier. Yeah, so we're going to call this one done. All right. Thanks for watching. As always, if you like what you see, like it, subscribe. Catch you in the next video.